is how, if it's Everton in a few years, if it's Sunderland, whoever it is that wants to try and break into that top four and try and do amazing things as a football club, you're restricted.
Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. Just hearing these names makes you think money and the hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds or Saudi riyals in boxing. But that's at the top. At the bottom, it isn't quite the same. Even for those on the rise, there's not an awful lot of cash in the boxing world. And if you're just starting out, well, it can be a very costly exercise indeed. But don't take my word for it. Here's the former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top level does the real cash start flowing in, with the top-tier professionals, i.e. those going for titles, earning 6 figures a fight. Something else you'll have heard of is the terms prize fighter or journeyman. A prize fighter is, as it sounds, someone who picks up fights where they can and gets a nice big check if they win. Journeymen are the fighters who take on up-and-comers, effectively used for experience in the ring. Even if they're going up against the real prospects, a young Anthony Joshua, for example, these guys will be lucky to earn more than 10 grand. So the average boxer isn't as rich as you'd think.
This is Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth Davies, and him, Spencer the Omen Oliver. It's been another huge week across the fight game, and over the next 3 hours, we'll break down all the major stories and get your reaction. We'll start with Anthony Joshua's dramatic victory over Christian Prenga last weekend. AJ was down under serious pressure, but fought back to produce an explosive finish. And after years of negotiations, call-outs and false starts, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury is finally, we believe, we hope, happening. Coming up, one of British boxing's most exciting cruiserweights. There's more than 5. Alois Jr. will join us live in the studio. We'll also discuss the huge merger between Jake Paul's most valuable promotions and the PFL, the Professional Fighters League, and what it could mean for the future of boxing and MMA and its protagonists. We want your calls on AJ's performance, on Tyson Fury's performance, and your early predictions for this Battle of Britain. Give us a call on 03717 223344. This is Fight Night on talkSPORT. Well, it's brilliant to be back in the studio. My favourite place to be on a Saturday night, unless we're ringside or Trigon side or cage side. Great to see you, Spencer. 10 weeks away from the studio, I think.
Gareth, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's good to see you too. It has been 10 long weeks, but we're back and we've got a huge show tonight.
And I see a wedding ring on your finger, and I loved your wedding in Las Vegas in that time as well. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. It took me 25 years, but finally I got Nicola to agree to marry me. So, yeah.
She made an honest man of you eventually. But before we get into all the fallout from Anthony Joshua's clash with Christian Prenga, let's hear how it sounded live on talkSPORT about a week ago.
There is nowhere left to hide. One man is looking to reinforce his place amongst heavyweight boxing elite. The other is chasing the defining victory of his career.
Let's talk sport, baby. Let's talk sport.
Oh, my word. Joshua's gone down. First punch of the fight. The Prenga's landed, and Joshua's gone down, and he's taking account. What on earth was that?
And the legs just seem to go a little bit there again from Anthony Joshua.
Another right hand, and he's going to go again here, Joshua.
Listen, he must be a devastating puncher because he's just tapped the jaw a couple of times, and AJ's feeling that.
There you go, big right hand, and Prenga's in trouble.
And he's gone down. Right hand puts Prenga down, and Joshua smiles as much as to say it was always going to happen, and it's all over in the second round.
I can't be stopped. I'm not going to be stopped. I'm not going to be denied.
Yo, you hear that? Over, smell the aroma. Them done did it really long time when I ramp with a skinny couldn't wake from a coma.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it, what happened a week ago? You were there, Spencer. I was away on bare knuckle duty on the night. The drama was there in your voice and in John Rawlings' voice and Adam's voice. Absolute shock and awe, what happened in that first round. And then equally shocking, or maybe not so shocking, in the second round. We're going to pick over the bones of this. We want your calls, by the way, 03717 223344. Over the next 3 hours, we will take your calls all night tonight because we're back in the studio, and Spencer and I want to speak to all of you that want to get in touch about heavyweight boxing, about these two men. Your immediate reaction when you saw the uppercut land, the overhand right land, when he went down 3 times on unsteady legs. Yes, he was counted only twice. What was your overriding feeling as someone that's been around him since he was a teenager and knowing this was a tune-up to get back into shape to face Tyson Fury later this year?
To sum it up in a word, it was disbelief. It was heart in your mouth moment. When Anthony Joshua hit the floor in the first 20 seconds, it seemed no more than a little uppercut. Prenga had the back of his head. He landed the uppercut. But Anthony Joshua's punch resistance just didn't seem to be there. His focus didn't seem to be there. And we understand why that is. And we can pick the bones out of that later on, with, the trauma that he's been through. So it was always going to be a tough task, but no one expected to see what we saw at the beginning of that contest.
There's no doubt that you have to feel a degree of empathy and sympathy in the backdrop, the background of what's happened to Anthony Joshua. But in athletic terms alone, I was watching it from London, having been at this bare knuckle event at Indigo at the O2, BKB 57, and I sat there with a group of people watching it live in the bar with your commentary on my phone as well. And I'm not joking, I could not believe what I was seeing. And it led me to believe that I am seeing a guy whose chin has gone, who a shot fighter. He's still got power, he's still dangerous, but what I saw in that first round was a man who is very close to the end for me. I don't know whether I might have felt differently. You do when you're around fighters in the build-up in the week, but he looked like a different man to me, a different fighter, notwithstanding the fact that he went out there in the second round, he got the job done.
Absolutely. Listen, one thing that Anthony Joshua has, yes, he has vulnerabilities. Yes, he puts himself into that situation, but he has elite level finishing, and we saw that he has elite level power as well, and that was how he turned the fight around. I think that the disbelief for us was the way that he went out there. Look, I was with him all week, speaking to him all week, and he seemed in a great place, not just physically but mentally as well. And we touched on a little bit about the traumas that he's had to come through, and how that was now his motivation moving forward, doing it for the boys. He lost his best friends. So I totally understood it, but I was always worried that was going to have an effect on the fight. As he done the ring walk, he looked quite relaxed, but when the bell rang, he looked anywhere but focused on in the ring. He got caught very early, and you can get caught when you get caught cold. By the way, talking as an ex-fighter, when you get caught cold, you know the nerve endings are not quite warmed up enough, and you can get shook to the soles of your boots. And that seemed to happen to him. It was a shot that landed perfectly on his chin, and it just took everything away from him. It took his legs away from him. He went down, but he showed the heart of a champion by climbing up. He went down again, but luckily the right hand, the shot landed at the end of the punch, so most of the power was out of the punch, but his legs were still very unsteady. He went down, and I was worried, Gareth, at the beginning of round 2, how this was going to turn around, how it was going to come around. Now, I know we're going to take lots of calls tonight, and I know a lot of people are going to be calling in saying, oh, the fight was fixed. How could it have turned on its head as quick as it did?
We'll come to that. Yeah.
We'll come to all of that. The instructions that Prenga got in the corner at the end of the first round were the wrong instructions.
I agree completely.
They told him to take his time, have a look, wait for the moment, and then seize it. You don't do that. Historically, if you watch Anthony Joshua, when he's hurt in a fight, it takes him minutes, rounds to overcome it, to recover. But he has that grit and determination.
Oh, he's got an incredible heart.
He has.
You have to pin him down.
He has.
And knock him out to stop him.
He has. That's right.
There's no question about that. He showed that against Andy Ruiz. He showed that against Daniel Dubois. He's got a fighting spirit.
Yeah.
He's a fighting man. There's no question about it. Sure. He's got a vulnerable chin. I think he's had it for 7 years. Alexander Usyk didn't exploit it, but outboxed him. And those are the only 2 fights he's really been desperately outboxed. His other losses have been people who've caught him.
Yeah.
Daniel Dubois and Andy Ruiz, and he avenged that defeat in a kind of standoff way in the rematch against Andy Ruiz. Are people papering over the cracks for him, though? I wondered. Is Eddie Hearn papering over the cracks? Are you papering over the cracks? And we'll get into what happens when he steps into a ring with Tyson Fury. But are you papering over the cracks of a guy who, yes, is an attacking bully, is a finisher, is as good a finisher as Lennox Lewis ever was, in my view. He's one of the great finishers, AJ. When he's got you hurt, he finishes you. He's an incredible Adonis. But because of that physicality that he has, because of his look, are we papering over the cracks in terms of what he's got left?
Well, listen, I think everybody would be right, in saying that Anthony Joshua does look past his best years, for sure, because those vulnerabilities seem to be more vulnerable now. We can't deny that. The punch resistance maybe not what it once was, but he does have that concussive power, and he will keep himself in there. He does have the heart, he has the grit, he has the determination, and that makes him dangerous because he is an elite finisher.
I agree.
He's an elite finisher, and you go onto the Tyson Fury fight the night before. And before the Anthony Joshua fight, you're going, wow, what's happening?
But is he a lost cause as a defensive fighter now? Well, that's it. There's such contrast. With him.
Now, Gareth, and that is a great question and a great question to ask, because on the surface of it, you would say yes. But you have to go through the layers of it all and understand what this kid's been through, not just physically, where he had to overcome broken bones and he was in the ring amazingly 6 months after.
24 broken bones.
24 broken bones.
That wasn't revealed till after the fight. Eddie
Broken
Hearn, in his
ribs.
post-fight
That's
interview,
right.
24 fractures.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What he had to overcome, he gets back in the ring.
I hadn't
6
heard
months
that
later.
before that interview. Had you?
Yeah, I knew that
it.
he'd sustained serious injuries.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't believe he was going back.
Yeah.
The question is, was he back too soon? Possibly, yeah. But
Too soon for what?
Yeah, for the physical damage that he's been through, how long he'd been training and everything else. But the reasons he was back there is because it puts in a space that he's thinking about, boxing and not everything else that's going on around him because of the trauma that kid's been through.
It didn't do anything for him in terms of progressing him in a tune-up for Tyson Fury, in my view.
Maybe
it exposed more weaknesses than it showed strengths, in my view.
Yeah, and maybe raised more questions than answers. For
Correct.
sure.
Same thing.
For sure. I think that
it's very difficult for you because you've known him a long time. You're a close personal friend, a bit like Tony Bellew, who's one of his best mates as well.
Yeah.
Tony and yourself have mounted very strong cases for him. What's gone in the background? I gave an honest and plaintive interview the next day, early in the morning, with Tony Cascarino and Katie, who were on that morning. I don't know Katie's surname. And I just said what I saw was a man. I've seen a lot of boxers who I feel their chin's gone. I think his chin's gone. Carl Froch was the same.
Yeah.
He thinks his quote is that AJ Shots pieces shouldn't even be in a ring. But, and we'll come to this after the break.
Yep.
It's still a massive fight with Tyson Fury because we still, even though it's past its sell-by date, probably by 3 or 4 years, it's still the Battle of Britain. It's still an era-defining fight between two men that I think need to fight each other.
As a commercial commodity, it's the biggest fight out there.
Yeah.
Of course it is. And this probably makes it bigger because of the performance from Anthony Joshua, because of the performance from Tyson Fury, where they both look past them. Forget that. You'll see better versions of themselves.
Well, we'll talk about
when they
Fury
box.
in the next section.
Yeah, sure. But I'm just saying, forget what you saw there on that fight when they both entered the ring in November, and you'll go over all that stuff in a little bit. If that fight happens in November, we'll see better versions of both of those guys. Anthony Joshua, that might be the beginning of his healing process. You've got to give him...
Can't have another fight before they fight.
No, he won't have another fight. What I'm saying is that will have done that will be the beginning of his healing process. What he's been through. Now he knows he can get in the ring. And for people that will say shot to bits, the punch resistance is gone. When you're caught cold like that in the first 20 seconds...
It's
sort of forgiven.
Stop making
You can
excuses.
forgive. No, I'm not making excuses.
You
because,
are.
Because you're right in what you say. The question, you are right in what you say. His chin could be gone.
That in your life.
He could be gone. I know. That's only because I haven't seen him for 10 weeks.
Exactly. We're going to go to break. We're going to look at Tyson Fury next week. Still a little bit more to discuss about Anthony Joshua. We want your calls, by the way. You're listening to Fight Night Live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Might put open away. It's another huge headshot, and it's all over. The referee stops open on his feet, and Alois has landed another stunning stoppage victory. Wears the Mike Tyson garb, and that was almost a Mike Tyson punch.
No need to remind me of Mike Tyson. He also reminds me of John the Beast Mugabe. If he hit you, he'd knock you into next Tuesday. And that's what we think we've just seen. This kid's going to be Texan Holden, I promise you.
Yep, you can see the pictures there. Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davies, back for the first time in 7 or 8 weeks with Spencer Oliver, the Omen, here at talkSPORT Towers. We took a small break, a moratorium when the World Cup was on, but we are back. And we are back with the fights and the frights and the punches and all the opinions on Saturday night. Alois Jr. has joined us for the next half an hour. Alois, still only 23. It shocks me because you've been friend of the show for several years now.
Yeah, I have.
Since you're about 19, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
And boy, have we seen you grow in your career. Last fight was Alice Zorro. You're the current Commonwealth and WBC international cruiserweight title holder. And you've got the veteran Mike Perez next. We were looking him up early. We know him from years ago. I mean, he's old enough to be your dad. Literally, 40 years old, very experienced. He's only lost as a heavyweight. Difficult guy.
Not only lost as heavyweight, lost as a cruiserweight to
Marius Bradis.
Marius Bradis, sorry, we were, yes.
In 2017 WBC title.
But he's very comfortable at cruiserweight, and it's a nice name for you to notch on the resume.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, well, you have to respect guys like Mike Perez, though, because he has been around a long time.
Knows his way around.
But listen, 40 years ago was considered finished, over the hill. But, science has training has changed, and this guy is a wily old cat. So it's a calculated gamble for you against Perez because it is a big step up in class.
I think my whole career's been a calculated gamble. My first fight wasn't a calculated gamble; it was just a literal gamble. But other than that, that's been my career.
But your first fight, you lost your first fight, but you was only 18 years of age then, and it was an ambitious fight.
It was 24 hours notice.
Yeah, but it was an ambitious fight as well, because you weren't going in against a journeyman, you were going in against a decent fighter as well. We'd heard about you, we knew what you was doing, like a Tyson-esque type fighter that was all guns blazing, but you've changed your style somewhat now because it's educated in what you do. Yeah, it's still very aggressive and crowd friendly, but everything that you do now is educated, calculated, and I think that's how you've improved and slowly gone through. Ellis Zorro was a great win, by the way, last time out.
it was a great win, and again, it was a learning fight. Like all these fights are learning. It's like life, right? You keep learning day by day. I'm only 23 years old. I still got countless time in this sport, so I truly believe like me being a world champion is inevitable.
Well, I think one of the things is, and we saw that in the Ellis Zorro fight, that you can't always. There's guys that as you climb the levels, you can't get a knockout in every fight, and that it is a learning process, and that sometimes the knockout will come against elite fighters, but sometimes it won't. So you have to win it. And I think it was great to see you more finessed and not so raw in that. I remember us commenting on it at the time that it was progress. Did you feel that yourself?
Absolutely, and also like I've taken that. Me and my team have taken insight on like how I should approach things. So like when you're like a knockout artist like myself, it's very easy to get the, as they call, punches arrogance.
Carried away, yeah.
Like you can get carried away and lost in the power, but the way to get the knockout is the result, but it's not what you're doing in the moment of time. You just need to be focused on the right things, and then if the knockout comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I feel like that is how I've matured over time.
The other thing about this event on August the 29th is the Ben Davison Performance Centre. Obviously, he's overseeing you. Barry Smith's overseeing you. Lee Wiley's overseeing your game plan against this experienced guy in Mike Perez. Moses Itauma is in camp as well. He's fighting Filip Hrgovic in the main event. So there's a flowing river going into this event on August the 29th in London, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, also, like, to bring it back to myself, it's in South London, and that's where I was from. That's where I'm from. This is where I grew up. So it's like I'm able to like showcase what I've been building, especially in my back garden, like on fight night.
What does that mean to you, like as a young fighter? Like you say, you're 11-0 now, 9 KOs.
11-1.
11-1. Sorry, you lost your debut. We've seen you progress. You know, boxing is very much a development, an apprenticeship, and we've seen you improve. And I'm not going to lie. After about 5 or 6 fights, I thought this kid's never going to learn how to, you know, take his time and slow down, because you was all about explosive power and like I say, like a Mike Tyson-esque sort of style. And I'm thinking to myself, every fighter will blow a gasket like that. They'll run out of steam after 4 or 5 rounds. But you did learn and you did adjust, and that's how you've gone on to win titles, and that's how fighters improve. And now I think, like, you know, the sky's the limit for you, because we don't know how far that's going to take you. You will know, and your team will know. But success builds success, and you're in the right gym with the right people right now. Do you spar with Moses Itauma?
Barely ever. Like, we just do technical work, but nothing really. He obviously brings his own sparring partners in, and obviously sometimes he gives me insights on like certain things, but yeah.
When we look at the cruiserweight division, IBF's vacant. David Benavidez is the WBA. Obviously, he stepped up to light heavyweight. I'm sure you got your eyes on him at some point. Noel Mikhalian.
Oh, lovely.
And Michael Sislak, both at the WBC. David Benavidez is also WBO. But over and above that, the Vidal Rileys of this world, the Jai Opatayas of this world, the Chris Billum Smiths of this world. You've got loads of guys to aim at. And also, we're going to see Pat Brown against John Hedges.
Yeah, great fight.
In September, I think it is. So there's a great pathway for you there, isn't there? I mean, I've mentioned 10 names there. And if you get to fight 7 of those 10 in the next 20 fights of your career, you're going to have some career.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're going to... This is what fighters look for. Like again, for my first fight, you could clearly see that I'm not looking for easy stuff. I want someone who's going to challenge me and push me to my limit, because I believe that if someone can bring me to my limit, I will show you how great I am.
Then the natural progression for you would be the winner of Pat Brown and John Hedges, because that's obviously the British title. You got the Commonwealth title, and that's the way the game works. And that's like sort of like the next, for me, the next stage, the next big fight for you.
It could be, but again, we just have to see.
Yeah, is that a fight that you would relish though? Who do you think wins that fight, by the way?
I actually don't know. Pat Brown's obviously very strong, good combination puncher. But again, I feel like John Hedges is like the underdog in this, but I feel like he's not really appreciated for his skill as much. Like, if he can keep, what's his name again? Pat Brown away, like on the lead down. Again, he's a southpaw, he's awkward. Like, that could be flustering at times. So
He's from that Traveller heritage. He's jerky.
He's a very good fighter.
He's a very clever fighter. He's been around a long time. And also, he's come up from light heavy as well. And he's able to build it. He's 6'3" anyway. So he's been able to build into the weight a little more. That jump, I don't know if you ever fought a 175. You're too hench, I think. Exactly. That jump from 175 to 200, for a lot of guys who are 6'2", who are quite hench, powerful, muscular, is a big thing because they can live naturally then, which is what Hedges has been able to do.
The only thing that I look at it is like this, right? And it's obviously similar to Benavidez as well, that you're not naturally a cruiserweight. So that means your durability is not of a cruiserweight. The same way, like, of course, Usyk, right, at this moment of time, he's a cruiserweight that moved up to heavyweight.
It's junior heavyweight, really, cruiserweight, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, naturally, your body won't be able to take as much force as the natural bigger guy.
That's a knockout artist talking, isn't it? That is the knockout artist talking and thinking out loud.
And that jump up, I think there should be maybe a weight in between that now, because the cruiserweight division used to be 13.7. They changed it to 14.5, wasn't it? And I think that
188 would be quite...
It was a big jump. I think they're missing because it's
25 pounds.
It's tough for the guys that are light heavyweights that are going up. The John Hedges type guys where they will be very small for a cruiserweight, as opposed to you fighting this beast and he's like big, strong, and you're right, the punch resistance is not there for some of those guys. But I will say about John Hedges, I saw him sparring a number of times actually with Jermaine Franklin when Franklin was down to box Moses Atauma. He was down sparring. He was sparring John Hedges.
It didn't help him because Moses got the knockout of the year, didn't he?
Yeah, no, absolutely didn't help Franklin, but he was lazy. If I'm totally honest, very lazy.
I disagree. I disagree strongly.
That's another conversation. But John Hedges,
I just like teasing him.
John Hedges actually impressed me. He's
talented.
Right, his boxing IQ is up there. He's up there. He can adjust and adapt. So I'm looking forward to that fight with Pat Brown, because it's one where he does start the underdog, but for me it's a 50-50.
Yeah, and I feel like also as well, I feel like Pat Brown gets hit quite a lot. I feel like he does get hit. So I feel like if he comes against someone like me, it's lights out.
There we go. That's the talk. If he comes up against someone like you, it's lights out.
It definitely is.
Do you knock them all out?
If I catch them with the right shot, they're gone.
Hold on. You remember last time he was in with us? Did you hear that whacking of that ball out there?
Man,
we got a punch ball in the studio.
Beast is the word.
He was trying to take the top spot, and all you could hear,
the desk was vibrating.
Boom, it was.
Are you a fan of watching others box?
Yeah.
Did you watch? We're going to get into it a little bit in the next section.
No worries.
We're going to take some calls for you and on Fury and Joshua. Did you watch Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua last week?
Yeah.
What were you thinking when you saw Did you manage to see any of the Friday night clips on Twitter and of Tyson Fury and Marius Wack?
Kind of.
Short view on what you saw?
Didn't look the greatest.
And then what were you thinking if they step into the ring together? What we were thinking, Anthony Joshua's got a great chance here.
He does have a great chance, but I feel like personally it comes down to mentality. Like if his mentality, in terms of like the way he expresses like boxing, if he comes out on offensive, I think he can do a good job.
What was your view the next night when you saw those 2 rounds then against Christian Prenga?
It's the same aspect. Like it was mentality. I feel like in the first round he was a bit more defensive, and in the second round he came up
indecisive, maybe.
Yeah, defensive. Like indecisive.
I thought we saw the same guy. We haven't gone on this yet. We've been chatting about it for about half an hour before you got in, Alois. I thought we saw the same Joshua start as we got against Daniel Dubois, where he didn't get going. There was no piston jab. There was no kind of strength in his.
It's focus. Basically.
But how can you come and have no focus? Because how can you do that? Is it the hundreds of millions in the bank?
No. It's
what
nothing
is it?
to do with that. The hunger is as burning as much as it ever has before, because he wants to prove people wrong. He's understood that now, but he had no focus because he was carrying a lot on his shoulders going into that one, and I know you can't use it as an excuse.
I agree.
But it's there, mate. You're talking
about the background.
Yeah, absolutely, the background noise. He's got his friends' names on the canvas in front of him.
Yeah.
Come on, guys! Like, you've got to give this guy a bit of a break. Of course, so the folk. I always said before, when he done that ring walk, even Anthony Joshua won't know how he's going to react, how his mind's going to be.
Yeah, but he reacted the same way when he went out against Daniel Dubois. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not denying that, but what I'm saying is talking about this fight. Forget that fight. That was like where he was sort of like being a little bit hesitant and made him a fundamental mistake, got caught and paid the price.
You're like his PR guy.
I'm not. But what I'm saying is you've got to understand that the immense amount of pressure on this guy's shoulders, the emotion.
I get the pressure.
And the emotion he was carrying.
Yeah, like, obviously, I can understand where you're coming from.
And you were in camp, for the listeners and viewers, you were in camp with him for a while, weren't you?
Like, I would say from a moral standpoint or like an individual standpoint, mass respect. Like, he's overcame...
An emotional,
like he's overcome something, right?
Yeah, no question.
But if from a boxing analytical standpoint, he didn't perform the greatest. So, but we can take in consideration that wasn't fully him that night. But
was it against Daniel Dubois?
But Gareth,
I don't know.
Gareth, let me say this.
We have this debate the whole time.
But I'm not defending.
You are.
I'm not defending the boxing side of it, and I'm not defending the punch resistance either, because that does raise massive question marks, and I understand that, and I said that. Like, look,
I think punch resistance is psychological almost.
Yeah, but also I think, well, Alois, you're a current fighter, so for the people that are listening here now, can you explain that when you're not warm, Anthony Joshua went in there bone dry. When you're not warm, that
but why? You've got to ask why.
I get that.
Why would he go in there bone dry and not warmed up?
Only him and his team know that, but he didn't look like he was warmed up, and he got caught cold. And a little shot that he didn't see, and you, like, when you're caught cold, you feel those shots more than when you're warmed into it.
Yeah.
And that was the situation.
But this is a tune-up for a 200 million fight, a Battle of Britain, the end of the era, defining fight with the Gypsy King, who's been your biggest rival at home for 10 years. How does that happen as a fighter, then, a current fighter? How does that happen to him, that he's not warmed up, that he's bone dry?
No. I couldn't give you the explanation.
I can't give you the explanation.
Well, we better go to break then. We're going to take some calls. Anthony Joshua is amazing.
Yeah, he's a legend. I think
he is a legend. So. He's been amazing for heavyweight and British boxing. He's put us on the map for a decade with Tyson Fury as well. Those two are unbelievable as diverse characters, and we put too much pressure on the whole time. Anyway, you're friends with him. You've been in camp with him. But it has to be debated because it's so fascinating, you know? Well, you're listening to Fight Night live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. All your favourite games, all in one place. 18 plus, gambleaware.org. Against, I think, an elite knockout artist and boxer in Ryan Garcia. I think he's got his work cut out there at the T-Mobile Arena on September the 12th. We won all your calls on that tonight, and obviously more calls on the heavyweight division. Thank you for your calls so far tonight. Spencer, Conor Benn, I think you've made friends. There was a time when you were up against him vehemently, as I was at one time, about his drugs test for clomiphene. He's rounded the corner. The whole kind of the cloud burst around him is different. He's crossed over to the mainstream. He's fought Chris Eubank Jr. twice. He signed on an incredible deal, $16 million US dollars with Zuffa Boxing, one of their first big name signings after Jaya Pattaya. What's your feeling about this fight with Ryan Garcia, first of all, in Las Vegas? I believe the fans will travel for him because I think he has crossed over into the mainstream.
It's a huge fight. You can't say it's not. You know, they're both massive on social media, and with what happened to Conor Benn and, you know, all the troubles that he went through made him an even bigger star than he already was.
Great launch press conference with a massive crowd.
Absolutely, and love or hate him, you're going to be interested in seeing the fight. Look, Conor Benn's talked the talk. Now it's down to now the time has come to see if he can walk the walk. You know, but in his defence, He's called for this fight. He's always said that he wants this fight back down at 147, a weight that he's not been at for nearly 4 years now. And he gets the opportunity against
His
Ryan
first
Garcia.
world title fight.
His first world title fight
WBC welterweight crown.
Against an elite level fighter in Ryan Garcia.
Who for me, by the way, Ryan Garcia is the linchpin for the giant fights in America right now.
Yeah.
The return of Gervonta Davis for a second fight. The return of Devin Haney and those two fighting each other for a fight that's been quashed because of not making weight and the drug test afterwards when Ryan Garcia beat Devin Haney up, basically beat him up over 12 rounds. The fights there with Tio Lopez, the fights with Shaka Stevenson. For me, he's the golden goose because he is probably the most well-known boxer in America right now.
Great shout. I was just about to say that thing, that he is arguably the biggest known boxer, the biggest name in American boxing right now. You know, his social media presence is second to none. And I think that we live in a world of numbers today. And I think that when you have that and you can fight and you're the current WBC world champion, you know, you're going to be a star, and that's exactly what he is. Conor Benn's made he's made himself known over in America as well. That's a big, big fight.
I think it sells really well. I think Conor Benn will be brilliant in the build-up. He was brilliant the other day when they were chopsing at each other and they were mouthing off at the launch press conference. Dana White in the middle of them, of course. It's on DAZN, which is interesting. Will Oscar De La Hoya be on stage with Dana White as well in the actual fight week? That's going to be fascinating. Garcia's got one fight after this left with Golden Boy. Does he go to Zuffa Boxing afterwards? I think there's loads of prospects for him and they might capitalise on it. But for me, the danger for Conor Benn in this is when that bell rings, he's going to be in a world of trouble. By 5 or 6 rounds, I think he'll find out who he's really in against. I see him being knocked out in 6 or 7 rounds. Surprise me, Conor, and win the fight. But for me, this is the most dangerous fight of his career. Forget the Chris Eubank at middleweight fight. This is the most dangerous fight, and I believe he gets knocked out midway through that fight.
Without a doubt, this is the most dangerous fight. And I think it's hard to predict how he goes in this fight because we've never seen him box at this level. And we've seen nothing to suggest that he can compete at this level. And I think that's where your opinions are coming from. And you're right in saying that because, you know, if you're assessing everything, you say that Conor Benn shouldn't be living with Ryan Garcia because you've got the proven versus the unproven. But one thing we do know about Conor Benn is he's got that DNA. He has, and he showed us that against, all right, it was a weight drain Chris Eubank up at 160, but that first fight, he had to show a lot of cojones.
That's the way he's got to fight Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
I don't see him going in there and being able to outbox him.
He won't try that.
He's got to give everything he's got. I think he could have some successful rounds early on in the fight. The danger for him is, if he does get knocked out in 6 or 7 rounds, where does he go from there in this route map with Zuffa Boxing? Because he ends up in a cul-de-sac for me.
I totally understand that, Gareth, but I think that, like I say, like this kid's drive is something quite different. You know, he wants to come out of his father's shoes. This is his massive moment. He wants to win the fans back over as well. You know, he had that terrible time where everyone's turned against him. The online abuse he gets. If he gets his WBC title, that's the motivation.
Oh, he'll win over all the haters.
He can win them all back over.
There's no question. That's a very good point.
And you can't question the kid's desire and heart, grit, determination. That makes him dangerous. He can whack as well. You can question Ryan Garcia's heart, grit, and determination. We saw that against Gervonta Davis when a lot of people said he swallowed it.
He wasn't.
So there's a lot of positives to take from Conor Benn as well. I'm with you. I think that Ryan Garcia wins the fight and he possibly wins it by knockout. But I'm not writing off a Conor Benn performance. But one thing that really concerns me about Conor Benn going into this fight is not his characteristics and and his will to win and his punch power. But making 147.
Yeah, it's going to be a
fight. A fighter that's dead at the weight.
4 years.
We saw it in his last fight against
Regis
Prograis down at 150.
Yeah,
he looked dead at the weight.
Yeah,
the punch power wasn't there.
Over the welterweight.
Yeah, 3 pounds. I know this as a smaller fighter. Making that 3 pounds, losing 3 pounds in fluid, is
killer.
Catastrophic. It's so difficult to do, and that will drain him even more. My worry is he can't do 147 anymore.
Very, very good points. Very well made, Spencer. We'll take a call before we go to the break. Gavin, the Spurs fan. Good evening, Gavin. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. What's your point?
I was actually ringing up against the AJ fight.
Yeah, go ahead.
AJ's always has like a glass jaw.
Yeah.
So every time he fights, he gets hurt. He's got, I mean, fair play to him. He gets up and he fights again. But is he as good as everyone thinks?
I think he's been extraordinary. Olympic gold, two-time heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, you've got to say his accolades, Gavin, are extraordinary. But what kind of chance do you give him against Tyson Fury, given what you're saying?
Well, I think he might have a chance because
there you go.
Fury is not a concussive puncher, is he?
Can be, but not at the moment.
He throws lots of punches, and then all of a sudden you're in a massive world of trouble. But he doesn't really knock people out cold, does he, Fury?
Yeah, I get that he's not the most devastating puncher as a heavyweight. I think that his main assets were his unpredictability, his fluent movements and that systematic breakdown of a fighter, the punches in bunches and all that. And maybe that's starting to go with Fury. It gives AJ, that chance. But he does hit hard enough. And I think they've seen the vulnerabilities surrounding AJ now. We're not questioning his heart, but the vulnerabilities surrounding him now, that Fury does hit hard enough maybe to knock him out. But that's what makes this fight as interesting as it ever was, because I think that both guys are sort of like running parallel with each other, really, as in where their career is.
Who's got the most left?
Who's got the most left? Yeah. It's a very interesting fight.
So, Spencer, who has the most left?
Well, going off the back of that last performance...
On Friday night, it was Anthony Joshua, but on Saturday night, it was Tyson Fury.
That's exactly right.
Fury was poor, wasn't he?
I tell you,
Fury was so poor.
Listen, Fury was very poor, and Anthony Joshua was equally as poor. We won't see them versions of either of them guys when they're boxing each other. But to answer your question, going into the fight, who will start favourite off the back of those performances? Your answer is Tyson Fury will start favourite off the back of those performances.
Gavin, thank you very much indeed. We're going to have to say goodbye because we are going to break. You're listening to Fight Night Live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18+, gambleaware.org.
It's an amazing story, actually. It's almost a forgotten man. This is about Mykhailo Mudryk, who has been allowed to come back to football immediately for Chelsea. So you'll remember that this is a man who had a 4-year ban handed down to him for breaching anti-doping rules. He's not played since November 2024 after what was described as an adverse finding of meldonium, which is a banned substance in his system. He appealed against that sentence to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who have today said that because he accepted breaking anti-doping rules, they have agreed that the time served already is enough of a punishment. So Mykhailo Mudryk is available to play for Chelsea with immediate effect.
Can he even still play football? Is he good enough? He's not played football for 3 years.
Nearly 2 years. Well, Chelsea have released quite a long statement today, obviously welcoming the decision. They've talked about what a difficult period of time it has been for Mykhailo Mudryk. And I think this is the important paragraph here in the statement. We welcome the acknowledgement that advances in the applicable scientific reporting standards for more reliable testing mean that had Misha's sample been analysed under today's technical requirements, it would not have been reported as a positive test and no anti-doping rule violation would have resulted. That is an important part of the context surrounding the agreed resolution and allows everyone involved to move forward.
Welcome back to Fight Night and talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davies, Spencer the Omen Oliver in the studio with me. It's great to be back on a Saturday night. Thank you for all your calls so far. We have loads more callers tonight. Please do call us 03717 223344. We want your views on Conor Benn against Ryan Garcia, about Anthony Joshua's performance last weekend and Tyson Fury's performance last weekend. And we will, after we've spoken to Gully Power, the British featherweight, the sensational Sikh fighter who fights the British title in a couple of weeks' time, we will be talking heavyweights as well and giving our top 10 in the division. But joining us now, we're just going to have a little look at his career, I think. We've got a little underlay coming up. It's Gully Power. No, we got nothing, apparently. Okay. Thanks for throwing me under the bus, Harjot, my producer. But that's okay. It's Saturday night and we're live. We're thinking on our feet. Gully, good evening. How are you?
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me back on.
It's lovely to see you. You've been friend of the show for a while now, through tournaments in the Middle East where you stood out, and that incredible draw with Rhys Edwards, and you guys are going to run it back. But this time, you get to do it in Aldersley as opposed to fighting him in his home capital city of Cardiff.
Yeah, so on that, my fight got cancelled with him because unfortunately... We heard that he's pulled out the fight or whatever. My team informed me for some reason, but I've been recently signed to Queensbury, so I've got a fight with Nelson Birchall now on the 26th of September. And
thank you for updating us on the news. I wasn't aware of that. I thought you were fighting Rhys Edwards still. So what title is that going to be for?
So we're just waiting for the circular to come out, but it should be the British title.
And what can you tell us about Nelson Birchall? Obviously, you're 13-1-1. What can you tell us at the fight on the 26th of September at the Birmingham BP Pulse Live?
He's a good fighter, man. He's got a good punch on him, and he's a good prospect. But I'm there to win, and that's my mindset.
Gully, talk to us about, the fight was originally September the 5th, and I know that you felt bitterly disappointed and felt that you'd won that fight last time out in April against Rhys Edwards. You wanted revenge. That fight doesn't happen. How difficult is it to reset, remotivate, and channel your energy onto a new opponent? I know that teaming up with Queensbury was a big thing for you as well. They'll create great opportunities for you. But how difficult is it now knowing that you're going in against someone else and not knowing if the British title's on the line or not?
I've just got to stay focused. I've got to be prepared at all times. I've been training hard. I've been doing the rounds in the gym, and I adapt to every style, and I'm always inspiring. So I've just got to be ready for what's next, because in this game a lot of things can change all the time, and I'm thankful for the opportunity from Queensbury.
And I know every fighter's dream is to win that British title. You felt that you was robbed last time out against Rhys Edwards. You felt it should have gone your way, and obviously now you don't know whether the British title is going to be on the line or not. Now. Would you be disappointed if it isn't?
Yeah, I'd be very disappointed because I've worked hard for moments like this, and I went to a different man's territory. I'm 23 years old, and not many fighters would go to Wales and fight in front of the home fans, and I was willing to risk it all and go there. And in my personal opinion, I should have got the nod, but unfortunately this is part of the game. But I have to move on and I have to focus on what's next.
I do think it was a very close fight. And I go back here over the scores: 114-114, Rhys Carter, Steve Gray 115-114, and Kevin Park had it 114-114. I think when you've had a result like that, Gully, you just know when you go into the second encounter, and you're both extraordinarily brilliant young boxers, that it shapes. I think your promoters have done a great job, or had done a great job in getting you the home fight, if you like, and I think that would have been in your favour. But Spencer will ascribe to this as well. When you're in this scenario you're in right now, patience is so important.
Yeah, and it's difficult, isn't it, to have that patience, though, when you're coming off the back of a draw and you wanted something that you've dreamed of as a child to win that, and that is the launch pad onto bigger and better things. It is very difficult to reset, have that patience and go again. And obviously circumstances have changed for you now. That's why I was interested to get inside your mind on how you're thinking right now and how you stay motivated.
I'm always motivated, man. I stay in the gym and I'm always focused, and I'm one of them. I've come from the small horse shows, so I've got to stay focused at all times because the opportunities are coming now. And obviously I've worked hard for them. So the way I see it is whoever I fight, I'm going to fight and I'm going to get the job done. And, you know, that's just been my mindset since I started my career off. It's a fight, buddy.
Listen, it must be exciting times for you on the flip side of all this conversation, because you've now signed a promotional deal with Queensbury. You know how big they are. You know what opportunities they can deliver. So that must be very exciting for you on the flip side of everything here.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, man, and I can't thank Queensbury enough, Frank Warren, for this opportunity, because now I can truly show my talent. And yeah, I'm in a great fight in my next fight, and I can't wait to put a great masterclass performance on for the fans.
One of the things that that I'm really pleased about for you is what a representative and what an icon you're becoming in the Sikh community around boxing as well, and you're having a huge impact on lots of young Sikh kids as well who want to get involved in the sport.
Yes, definitely. Like I addressed before, I want to create a legacy for a lot of young Sikh fighters coming through into the game. Obviously, boxing, but not many fighters from the Sikh community are boxing. But now, a large variety of Sikh fighters coming through, and I want to be the champion of the people. So hopefully, there'll be a lot more coming through and watching my footsteps to the top level. And you know, I'm still on my own journey as well.
Because I was with Amir Khan last week at the BKB in London. He was working with me as one of the analysts and doing commentary. And when Amir looks back on it now, obviously he was a British Pakistani Muslim, won silver medal at the Olympics in 2004. There was his dad with the Union Jack waistcoat. And one of the proudest things he talks about now, Gully, Spence, is that his legacy is that he changed a whole generation. And we have so many young Asian kids in our country, British Asians, who look up to Amir Khan now.
Yeah, well, it's now Gully's turn to take that. It's a passing of the baton.
I love it. I love it.
And that's an extra motivation for you. Gully, I wanted to ask you just quickly, just rewinding, because I didn't get to the bottom of it. How did the Queensbury promotion deal come up? How did that all happen?
So, obviously, Errol Johnson, BCB, they must have had it in talks for a while now. A lot of a lot of promoters were interested in the Reece Edwards fight and inquiring for it. And I think from there, I had a phone call last week saying that, you know, it's all good stuff. And that's when it got announced. So shout out to BCB, shout out to my coach, Richie Carter, for, you know, making it happen as well, fighting my corner. And, you know, now I can truly show what I'm capable of doing.
Fantastic stuff. Well, it's great to see you. We wish you all the best against your new opponent, Nelson Birchall, 26th of September at the Birmingham BP Pulse Live. Stay patient, brother. It's great to see you tonight. Thank you very much, Gully Power.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers, pleasure. You're listening or watching Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth Davies, and Spencer Oliver. Keep your calls coming, please. Sammy, you're on the line, the Manchester United fan. Keep your calls coming. We will speak to you after the break. 03717 223344. Let's chat about the heavyweight division. Alexander Usyk has relinquished the belts. He's saddling up soon to leave the division. Derek Chisora was going to come in with us tonight. If you're around, Derek, please give us a call. We want to speak to you. He'll be gone soon. Deontay Wilder will be gone. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua will be gone. The Moses Itauma era is almost upon us. We're talking heavyweight boxing for the next half an hour. Call us. Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davies. Spencer the Omen Oliver is alongside me. We have been talking heavyweight boxing tonight, particularly in the wake. We picked the bones out of Tyson Fury against Marius Wack in Thailand last Friday. We picked the bones, we really picked at all the bones of Anthony Joshua's performance against Christian Prenga, the unknown Christian Prenga from last Saturday night in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. You were there live. We haven't really talked as much about what we saw from Tyson Fury last Friday. As you said earlier on, when you watched on Friday night, you thought, wow, Anthony Joshua's got the best chance he's ever had. You've always felt he would beat Tyson Fury, that he's got the style for him. I thought the same thing. If that Tyson Fury turns up against Anthony Joshua and lets his hands go, then he's going to be in a world of trouble. He's going to get to him at some point. And then we saw what happened on Saturday night. So it's all in the balance at the moment.
Absolutely. Listen, both guys have got their strengths and both guys have got their weaknesses. And I think that's more evident than ever off both of their performances, that they are both vulnerable. You know, they both get hit now. And the punch resistance is maybe not what it once was. Well, not maybe about it. I think we saw that. We've seen that in recent times with Tyson Fury, where he seems a little vulnerable. And we've seen it with Anthony Joshua as well. So it makes it an interesting fight. We're all going to have an opinion on who wins, who loses. And we're not going to find that out until November, hopefully, when we get this fight over the line.
It's a very good segue into when we believe this fight is going to be. Now, the direction of travel that they're talking about next week, when Turki Al-Sheikh, Spencer Brown, Frank and George Warren, Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, they all sit around the table, Netflix, Seller, maybe Dana White, who's going to have some involvement. He's still saying that Zuffa Boxing are going to have some involvement of it. All arrows are pointing across the pond at the moment, and we're going to take your calls on this as well tonight. Those arrows pointing across the pond, is it right that it takes place indoors at Madison Square Garden on November the 14th, which is what people are talking about at the moment as the potential date, rather than indoors at the O2 Arena in London, which is just as iconic for these two fighters, and it's the same number of seats?
That's exactly right. I was going to say that there's the same number of seats, and yeah, it's, you know, iconic and the history of it. Well, Muhammad Ali and all the other great heavyweights that have boxed at Madison Square Garden. I understand that, but this is a fight for the British fight fans who have supported these guys over the last decade, have been there, travelled abroad for both of these guys as well. The fight fans sort of are owed that, for this fight to take place in Britain. I think Anthony Joshua is strong on that. He wants his fight to happen here, whether it's Wembley, whether it's in Cardiff, you know, whether it's at the O2. Who knows? But the fight really, it should land here, if I'm totally honest. All things seem to be, you know, indicating it's going across the pond, but we want it here, man.
All right, let me throw a curveball, a red herring into the mix for you. Answer this question. You have to answer as soon as I deliver the question. Would you rather see the fight on November the 14th in Madison Square Garden, see them in a ring together, or wait till March next year and it be commuted to Wembley Stadium for Fury Joshua?
I want to see them in November.
There you go.
I want to see them in November.
You want to see them in a ring.
Because I want to see them in the ring. And I get, listen, I get the commercial value around this. And I get that, you know, the paymasters, Turki Al-Sheikh, you know, Seller, Riyadh season, they're the ones that are putting up the money, and you know, they're the ones that are putting up a hell of a lot of money. And if they want it to take place in the US, I totally understand that. But for the British fight fans, it's going to be heartache, because the fight fans want to see that fight here. And so it's a difficult one. It really is. I understand that it may go to New York, though.
Let's go to the callers. I'm sure they've got lots of views. We've got Sean, the Spurs fan, who's on the line. Sean, you've heard what Spencer... Good evening. You heard what Spencer and I were just saying. What's your view as a fight fan? Would you rather see Fury Joshua at Madison Square Garden and definitely happen in mid-November? Or would you be bothered if it was commuted to, say, March or April next year at Wembley Stadium?
Well, guys, great show. You two are brilliant.
Thank you.
First and foremost, I just think I don't even want to see the fight, and I love my boxing. I just think we're lining multi-millionaires, boxers which are already so rich it's unbelievable, for a fight that's really not going to be that great, when that money could be transferred into, you know, younger boxers, the younger generation coming through, when we're actually lining people's pockets that are well past their sell-by date. For what? I just don't know. The only thing we're going to get out of it is, one of them's going to win.
Spence.
And I don't actually see benefit. I really don't.
Thank you for your opinion.
But listen, I think the money's being put up for this fight because these guys have earned it over. It's not about this fight. It's about what they built in the past. They've both been two-time world heavyweight champions. They carried heavyweight boxing, transcended it into a different atmosphere, if you like. You know, it's gone to a mainstream sport, and it's because of these two guys. Yes, they are. You know,
a collateral reward. Isn't it?
They're at the end of their careers.
Even though it's not probably, in principle, I think he's right. But in reality,
absolutely,
this is why they're getting it.
In reality,
and it's Saudi money.
They're both bigger than boxing. Their names are bigger than boxing. They're not, you know, they're known outside of your boxing fan. If you're talking about, you know, your little old lady that's next door, they will know Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. She might not be a boxing fan. What I'm saying is, it's bigger than the sport.
The question is, Sean, would you still watch that fight if it takes place?
Yes, I would.
There you've answered the question,
There you go. But
of course I would watch it because I'm a lover of boxing. But I just think we're just overhyping the whole fight. And these guys have been brilliant for boxing, as you say. I respect that, of course.
You'd have felt differently if they'd fought 5 years ago, wouldn't you?
Of course. Of course, I would be travelling anywhere to go and see that fight. But to watch them now, I just think we're just watching two guys that have been brilliant, but way past their sell-by date.
Right.
And the weekend proved that.
Sean, let me put this spin on it then, yeah? Once the fight's announced and we get it, doesn't matter where it's taking place, and we get the week and the fight build-up, the anticipation, and you start getting into that moment, and, you know, you're starting to look forward to it. Who's going to win? You know, who's got the most vulnerable chin? All of that stuff before the first bell rings. The feeling that you've got inside you, that, you know, that anticipation, that's what it's all about. You forget all this, that, you know, everyone's saying, oh, they're well past the sell-by, but I don't want to see it. Trust me, the people that are saying that, trust me, they'll pay for it. They'll see it, and they will get a lot of excitement and a lot of enjoyment from this fight.
I think, Sean, a lot of people are making the point about Mayweather and Pacquiao being 5 years too late as well, but Mayweather was still number one in the world at that point, pound for pound, pretty much. And I think the nearer comparison is when Kell Brook and Amir Khan fought each other. Maybe they were a little bit more gone than these two, but that's closer to the comparison. What's your feeling? Would you rather it be commuted, Sean, to Wembley so the British fans get to see it, or would you rather them just get in a ring and be in America in mid-November?
No, it's got to be, as you guys have said, we've all paid our money, we've all been and watched them live, or we've paid, you know, pay-per-view, so we deserve to have the respect and say, look guys, for all your support, for all your money, we're going to be paid out and have it where we can, be it indoors or outdoors. It should be over here, just as a thank you to everybody that's paid to watch them and supported them, in my opinion.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Sean. We appreciate your call tonight. Well said. We'll go to Steve, who's calling from Liverpool. Steve, what's your point?
Hello, mate. I'm calling from London, but I'm a Liverpool fan.
Okay. Liverpool fan calling from London. Apologies.
like most Liverpool fans. Thanks for having me on. It's just regarding, obviously, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. I think the most important key point here is that the fight just has to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not about who's going to win. I mean, that discussion has been going on for, you know, over a decade. But the biggest question that we're all asking ourselves is, where is it going to happen and when's it going to happen? And it would be, you know, the biggest kick in the proverbials if the fight didn't take place in this country. And I don't see the issue, especially if discussions between the Saudi GA and Sadiq Khan has taken place already about the fight taking place at Wembley
in November. You mean outdoors?
Yes, yeah.
Do you not have concerns about the weather at 2:00 in the morning though, and on a November night?
For Fury versus Chisora.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting over the frostbite since then. So yes, but I still watched the fight, and that was well into December. You know, and
it was December the 3rd.
It was.
And the thing is, I was at Tottenham last year for both of the Ben Eubank Jr. fights, and the second fight was in, I think, November the 15th. And I've got to admit, I didn't feel the cold at all. I mean, it might have been because I had a nice meal and plenty to drink as well while I was there, but you know, the weather was absolutely fine, and that was November the 15th. I don't think that's good. That's the issue. I think the biggest crux is if the fight happens in the United States. The Thriller in Manila the keys in the word happened in Manila. The rumble in the jungle, that happened in Zaire. Even the biggest shocks that we've had in recent years, Tyson Douglas, Japan, Lewis Ruckman, South Africa. The biggest fights don't have to happen in the US. I appreciate that the time zone thing is a factor. It always has been, especially when Calzaghe and Hatton used to fight on Showtime through Frank Warren. That's not a problem. But if it's going to be outdoors, if it's going to be cold, if it's going to be 2 a.m., then so be it. But what a fight. For all of that to happen and to get a little bit of frostbite, it'll be worth it.
Well, the point, I think that they're all very well made points, but the biggest paymasters and playmakers in this are the Saudi Arabians. They will make the decision, along with Netflix, who obviously I think Netflix need to be made aware. Yes, of course, they want to make money from it, and they want their American 280 million subscriber base to buy into it. I think the guys might, if they really want to do that, they need to send them on a New York, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and London press tour, because I don't think my meandering experience tells me that in America, for the American audience right now, and I think you're spot on this, it's not a big fight for them at the moment.
I totally agree. I think even sending them on a press tour wouldn't,
I think it would enhance it.
Yeah, it would enhance it, but not enough.
It might enhance it. If they get 2 million new subscribers through it in America, I
totally understand.
They make that money.
I totally understand that. I totally understand that, but they can still push it. But we understand the other side of the argument, which is the British fight fans over the last decade that have paid money to go and see these guys, and because there's always been that talk, the fight happening, and boxing politics getting in the way of what network, 60-40 splits, etc., etc. We now get the fight. Give it to the British fight fans, because I think that they would appreciate it. The American market, you can still go and do a tour over there and sell the fight over there. AJ versus Jake Paul, he built up a lot of followers. Tyson Fury's trilogy with Deontay Wilder, he built up a lot of followers over in America. So they are known over there for sure.
Steve, a final quick answer to Spencer, because I need to go to break.
Go for it. Well, what was the question?
Well, do you agree with that what Spencer's saying about the build-up? We owe it to the British fans, really.
Well, 100%. Remember, Tyson Fury, he built his reputation from sort of the ABAs, turning pro, winning the Irish, English, British, Commonwealth, European, and world title. 500,000 of us bought it on, I think, was it Box Nation pay-per-view when he went over to Germany. And it's the same with Joshua. I think he had something like 13 consecutive pay-per-view fights from the Dillian White fight right through to the Usyk rematch, where each one averaged nearly 1 million pay-per-view buys. Now, that's the UK, and although it's like £25, so it doesn't equate to like the $70 the Americans make, you're talking 13 million times 25 quid. And he's earned nearly, in terms of purses and percentages of pay-per-view, etc., through Sky, DAZN, etc., he's earned nearly $500 million in terms of income, Now, that is unprecedented. Now, that didn't need $70 per pay-per-view. That was, I think the Joseph Parker pay-per-view was something like 1.9 million UK pay-per-view buys. You're talking about a country with 68 million people, nearly 2 million of them were watching Joshua Parker. Put that into perspective.
Steve, you have put it into perspective. Thank you very much, the Liverpool fan from London. Brilliant words on your soapbox tonight. Go and give yourself a round of applause and go and have a tequila. Thank you very much, Steve. You're listening to Fight Night Live. We'll continue this debate in a minute. You're listening to Fight Night Live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18+, gambleaware.org. Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Spencer Oliver wildly writes down his top 10 heavyweights in the division Right, now I'm going to pull up the sanctioning body rankings as well at the moment. It's a weird comparison if you look at both things. You're listening to Fight Night and talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davies. The Omen, Spencer Oliver, is alongside me. It's great to be back in the studio on Saturday night, isn't it, Spence?
I love it, mate. Absolutely love it. Just done my top 10. There you go.
And I love just making you do two things at once, which you find it hard to do.
You know what? It's so good to be back here in the studio with you, Gareth. It feels like it's been forever, actually.
No, it's been brilliant tonight. Really enjoyed it. And thank you for all your calls tonight. We're going to take a little break from calls for about 40 minutes. We're going to have a chat with John Hegarty in the next hour as well, the brilliant Muay Thai fighter. But right now, we're going to look at our top 10 in the heavyweight division. My big shocks for you are that Alexander Usyk is still number one. That might not be a shock for you, but
no.
Anthony Joshua is not in my top 10.
Yeah, that's a shock for me.
All right, so you've written down your top 10. Alexander Usyk, does he still belong at number one in spite of that Rico Verhoeven performance?
Yeah, I think he does. Definitely, yeah.
Have we had a chance to speak about that since it happened or not?
I think we talked about it last show that we done, didn't we?
Yeah.
And Alexander, listen.
He's checked out.
Yeah, and rightly so. He's done. It's a
one more fight,
move.
Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
One more fight.
Yeah. A fight that I said that would happen all along. John Jones was in the mix there for a while as well. I think there was a crossover fight they were talking about, but I think negotiations are now underway for Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder. That's what I'm hearing through the grapevine.
Okay, we're going to start at 10 in the heavyweight division. I've got at number 10, I have Murat Gassiev, who is the WBA's regular, super champion now, because he's been upgraded from regular champion after knocking out Kubrat Pulev. And obviously he had a win against Kadyrov the other day in Moscow as well. Was Derek Chisora there that night, calling him out?
Yep, Derek was there. He's calling him out. I think he's trying to get that fight out.
He can't. He's not in the top... I've just had a look. He's not in the top 15 of any of the sanctioning bodies. So I don't... If he'd beaten Deontay Wilder, who, by the way, is... weirdly, is 9... with the IBF, is 7 with the WBC, and is 8 with the WBO. I'm amazed that Deontay's so highly ranked at the moment.
I'm sort of not from the business side of it because of the commercial value.
Is he in your top 10 though?
Deontay Wilder's not in my top 10.
He's not in my top 15.
No, he won't. No, he won't.
Oh, he is. He's 14 actually in mine.
Yeah, he's not. I've not gone that far because you've just sprung this on me in the last 10 minutes or so. But I'm with you.
Spring it on you.
I'm with you.
Spring it on you.
I'm with you.
I told you when we were sitting in there and you told me about your wedding in Vegas, which I loved. I mean, go back and look at the pictures on his Instagram. It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Nicola finally made an honest man of you after 25 years.
She did, mate. She did. That was 25 years of me asking, by the way.
No, I did say to you, let's look at... When Derek Chisora bailed on us tonight, and if you are there, Derek, give us a ring, because we'd love to hear from you.
He's at a wedding.
He's at a wedding, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he told me he was coming to the studio, but he's at a wedding.
If Derek gets on his phone and has a little listen, he will ring us.
Do you know, let me tell you the story. I spoke to him yesterday. He said, Derek, will you come on the show? He said, yeah, I want to talk about the Gassiev fight. I want to push the Gassiev fight. I said, yeah, let's get on there. Gareth's on. We'll have a bit of fun with it. You know, we'll have a little debate. You can pin Gareth up against the wall, or he'll pin you up against the wall, one or the other. He's like, yeah, all right, brilliant, I'm coming in. Then he sends me a picture today at 2 p.m. of someone filming something out of a plane. And I went, what's going on, mate? Are you in the studio later or not? Then he sends me a message at 4:30 saying, I've just landed. And then he rang me.
In Monaco or something.
No, he didn't tell me where he'd landed. He said, I've just landed, mate. I'm feeling a bit ill. So I said, oh, listen, if you don't come in the studio, we need to get you on Zoom because you've told us and we've got this space for you now. All right, no problem. So don't hear from him until 7:30 when we get in the studio. I ring him. Oh, no, I ring him. He doesn't answer. Then he FaceTimes me. Mate, I'm at a wedding. I was like, at what point did you not know you was going to a wedding when you're coming in the studio?
Keeping his options open.
And he went, I told you got to speak to Nicole, my PA. And I went, oh, come on, Derek. We've been having this conversation for 2 days, mate. So...
Are we all scumbags or not?
No, it's all love.
It's all love.
We love Big Del Boy.
I've got to tell you this before we go to number 9 in the top 10 heavyweight list. Derek is my number 13 because I've got Joshua at 11, Anthony Joshua at 11, Jarrell Miller at 12, Derek Chisora at 13, Deontay Wilder at 14, and Bakodir Jalilov, based on his last couple of performances, at 15.
Jalilov, based on his last performance, we was out there covering that one, would not make my top 15.
There you go.
Double Olympic champion, but he hasn't adjusted to the pro game.
We've done number 10, Murat Gassiev. Who have you got at 10?
Yeah, I like Gassiev. I'd have
10.
Gassiev at 10, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to go 9, 8, 7 now.
Go.
Afea Jegba at 9, Frank Sanchez at 8, and Moses Itauma at 7.
No, I'm going to go Frank Sanchez at 9.
Yeah.
Filip Hrgovic at 8. And Fabio Wardley at 7.
Nice. Well, weirdly, Frank Sanchez is number 1 with the IBF. Moses has been ordered to fight. Moses Itauma has been ordered to fight Frank Sanchez. He's number 3 for the vacant IBF title. So I then go with Moses Itauma at 7. I like your list so far as well. Then I've got 654. I have Filip Hrgovic at 6. I have Fabio Wardley at 5. And because remarkably, in that extraordinary heavyweight fight of the year, or one of the fights of the year earlier on in the year with Daniel Dubois, Wardley was still knocked down, was he?
No, incredible.
Even though Daniel Dubois was down twice in that fight. And I've got Tyson Fury at 4.
Yeah.
Where do you go with 654?
So I've got AJ at 6. I've got Moses Itauma at 5. And I've got Cabiel at 4.
Okay. I don't disagree with that as well. I get why you've got that list. And then my 3-2-1 is Ajit Cabiel 3, Daniel Dubois 2, and Alexander Usyk as number 1 pound for pound.
Well, we're close there. We're close there because I've got Tyson Fury at 3, Daniel Dubois at 2, and Usyk at 1.
Can I say this? 3 years ago, and it's October, that the Saudi Arabians, Turki Al Sheikh, have made a huge impression on the heavyweight division, more than any other division in our sport. And when heavyweight boxing is strong, the sport is strong. If we'd looked at the heavyweight division 3 years ago, we would not have so many household names. People might disagree with that term, household names, or certainly people that watch sport, generic sports fans are very aware of a lot of those guys in the top 15. And that has been down to Saudi investment in the heavyweight division and the great work of Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, and all the promoters, Spencer Brown, all the guys, George Warren, all these guys involved in the heavyweight division. In that top 15, by the way, as well, Cabiel and Usyk are obviously European. Hrgovic is European. Gassiev is Russian. I have only 2 Americans, but I have 6 UK fighters in that top 15.
Yeah, and your 2 Americans were?
Jarrell Miller and Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
But they're both, Miller's 12 and Wilder's 14. It just shows you where the heavyweight division lies at the moment.
How it's changed. You know, talkSPORT covered the 2024 Olympic Games out in France, and America come away with 1 bronze, which was unheard of if you rewound a decade or 12 years. You went back a few, they were dominating. 9.
That takes you back to when Deontay Wilder won bronze in, was it China or was it Athens?
Athens.
It was in 2004 or 2008. Yeah. Takes you back to that era.
Yeah, absolutely.
They haven't found a heavyweight since.
No.
To carry the division.
Well, I was speaking to Bomac when he had
Brian McIntyre, Terence Crawford's trainer.
Terence Crawford's trainer, and he was saying that we hope that when Terence Crawford beats, this was before the Canelo Alvarez fight, when he beats Canelo Alvarez and becomes a 4-weight world champion and one of the greatest to ever do it, he said, we're hoping that this attracts fighters into the gym because we're not getting the young kids coming into the gym now. You know, that they're getting scholarships. They're going into different sports, American football, baseball. You know, that they're moving away from the sport of boxing that historically the gyms have always been polluted with young kids coming through. We're not seeing that anymore. And he said that's what's missing out of the game now. It's not that we can't develop these fighters when they come through the doors. We're just not getting them in there no more.
Well, very well said. You're listening to Fight Night Live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18 plus, big gamble away. And just before we go, we're going to talk MVP, which is Jake Paul Nisika Bidarian's company, aligning with the Professional Fighters League MMA in the week. We're going to have John Hegarty as a guest, one of the great Muay Thai fighters. And we're going to have your calls in the last half an hour of the show tonight, going back over the schedule to come, what we've had in the year so far, and heavyweight chat. You're listening or watching Fight Night with me, Gareth Davies, and Spencer Oliver on talkSPORT. Great track. It's been a great night so far. Back in the studio, we are into our third hour. I'm Gareth Davies. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Alongside me, the one and only Spencer the Omen Oliver. Lots of debate about Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury tonight, ranging from where it should be, what they should be paid, what they shouldn't be paid, how far and deep they are into their careers, what they've got left. We will discuss it more at the half hour. In the last half an hour of the show, and we'll look back on the year a little, and we'll look forward to what's scheduled as well. But first, we'll look at most valuable promotions. Jake Paul's company, Nikisa Bidarian's company, joining forces with the Professional Fighters League and the greatest Muay Thai fighter we've ever produced, John Hegarty, friend of the show, joins us in about 15 minutes' time. You're listening or watching Fight Night on talkSPORT. Very hard to get the word valuable right, but I'm going to get it right now, because most valuable promotions, Spencer, and the PFL, the Professional Fighters League, that were once the World Series of Fighting, I've covered it for a long time. I've worked with them before. I've worked with both of them. They announced Thursday that they are merging under a consolidated banner of MVP MMA. Obviously, that's a slight tilt from MVP boxing as well, that's dominating the women's boxing scene. And I see that Eddie Hearn, Sky Nicholson, also did a deal with MVP for Sky Nicholson to go on with and work with MVP. They dominate women's boxing. It's a move, the MMA move with the PFL and Most Valuable Promotions, believe will accelerate their growth into the combat sports ecosystem. Jake Paul has promised the company are going to directly target and compete with the UFC. That's a big ask. They're going to start in 2027. And Nikisa Bidarian, you know him. He's a very smart guy, very smart operator. Used to work for the UFC in acquisition for them. They've been active since 2021. The PFL was founded, I think, in 2018. I remember doing launch press conferences with them here in the UK with their UK setup. They currently air on ESPN. They're led by CEO John Martin. They started a merger just over a year ago. What's your take on this? Just as a perspective in terms of how they can grow their companies together.
Yeah, I think it's a massive move. I think John Martin recognised the power of MVP, Jake Paul, Nikisa, and recognised that is the move for him to be able to push forward, compete with the UFC. You know, he recognises John Martin, who's the CEO of the PFL, that recognises that, you know, to grow this company, they need more forces, and that force is MVP, who's doing an incredible job with women's boxing, as you know. And I think that if they merge together, John Martin was actually saying in a previous interview that, you know, this is a possibility how not only that we can grow, you know, our own MMA fighters and grow that platform, but we can also merge with boxers as well.
And let them cross over.
No, let them. There's a possibility where they can cross over, but stay in their respective sports as well. And they'll also do shows where you're getting MMA fights and boxing fights on one show. So I think it's a great move.
It's very interesting as well, because that's what BKB are doing with gloved boxers, like the Vargas brothers and Fernando Vargas were out here doing bare knuckle in their debut at the Indigo at the O2 last weekend, but still carrying on growing their careers in glove boxing as well. That crossover of martial arts sports at the moment is becoming more prevalent.
It's huge. It's huge. You can't deny it. You know, I think that, You know, I think that bare knuckle boxing has gone to a different stratosphere. People are really taking to it. It's something different, something unique. You know, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, you can't not be intrigued by it. I mean, it's a fascinating sport. I think you're doing a great job with that, really, you know, pushing it forward. And the PFL are going to do big things with MVP as well. And I think we live in a world, Gareth, where there's a market for all these things. You know, I think that streaming now, social media, you know, I know it was on ESPN, but I think that with MVP's connection with Netflix, his connection with Sky Sports, is a huge opportunity for the PFL to grow alongside MVP. So it works for both sides, and I think there's a great market that could be captured there.
Well, in May, MVP did their first, even though they had a lot of old names on their MMA card. Ronda Rousey against Gina Carano, it did big numbers. It was on Netflix. They've got that relationship. They've got the Sky deal in the UK with their women's boxing as well. What I thought was fascinating, it's going to be hard for them to compete with the UFC, but they can be Pepsi to the UFC's Coke. They can be Adidas to the UFC's Nike. It's about making a noise and creating a voice in the marketplace. And I think that's where they're very smart about people like... She fought last night. It was on talkSPORT boxing YouTube channel. PFL had an event from New York on there. I was up at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. watching it last night. Dakota Ditcheva, for example, Ditcheva, she was brilliant last night against Denise Kielholtz. I know both of them well. She's the kind of person, Dakota, that can really benefit from MVP and the resonance and the platform that they can create. And we see that very often when fighters have suddenly signed to the UFC, when they've been on another platform, they create a bigger name for themselves. We saw it with Michael Venom Page when he went to the UFC. He might not have been incredibly successful, but his name's bigger suddenly. Michael Chandler, when he left Bellator and went to the UFC, suddenly a big name. He's in big fights. And this is what happens.
And I think the intrigue here is, and the interest, and this is where it's going to get difficult maybe for the UFC, because they're going to have to pull their socks up on certain things. We know the history of the UFC and what the fighters get and whatnot, and it's maybe not as much as what they have wanted in the past. And we're seeing new players now coming into the market. And John Martin from the PFL teaming up with Jake Paul. We've seen what Jake Paul has done for women's boxing. People like Amanda Serrano, who was not really known outside of her own town, has now become a global superstar. The money she's earning now is 15, 20, 30 times more than she was ever earning. And that was through Jake Paul and, you know, the publicists behind her, pushing her forward, getting her to the mainstream. And I think if he can do that with the PFL as well, that's going to put pressure on the UFC, because they're going to have to up their game, or their fighters are going to want to jump ship and go into the PFL, because Jake Paul, love or hate him, has done amazing.
Oh, you got to love him. You can't hate him.
No, but what I'm saying is people in general, love or hate him, has done amazing for women's boxing, and more importantly, has financially made a lot of women secure, where they would never have got that without Jake Paul's help. And I think even Eddie Hearn recognises that, with Sky Nicholson now hooking up with them as well. There's a moving of the market here.
And also, I think this is almost a flow that's come with Turki Al-Sheikh and DAZN, working with all the promoters together on DAZN, the home of boxing as it's called. You know, the 6-7 major world promoters on there together. When you look at the liaisons and elisions between leading promoters, that kind of merger and acquisition for the mutual benefit of each other is really, really important. And I do think it's to the benefit of PFL that they've joined MVP, because whatever you say about Jake Paul, he's a marketing genius.
But listen, this is the difference here, that all the other promoters at the moment are under that banner, and they call it the home of boxing, and that is DAZN, who, you know...
I think it is the home of boxing.
Yeah, absolutely, because they have all the promoters.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, the MVP, who have just done a multi-year deal with Sky Sports, work with ESPN, work with other networks, work with Netflix.
That's the big one.
Which is the big one. So what I'm saying is they've got different markets. They're hitting different... that's an interest for fighters because then they can become that superstar, you know. So it's a very interesting changing of the times here. A lot of people thought that Jake Paul, including myself, maybe thought he'd be a flash in the pan. He would get bored and go off doing whatever else he does because he's a marketing genius. He knows how to make money. He prints money, but we didn't think that he would get into boxing as much as he's done
Well, we didn't
and change the
fight
sport
Mike
the way
Tyson and Anthony Joshua, did we?
No, absolutely not.
From the sublime to the ridiculous, almost.
But also earned them a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. You know, Mike Tyson earned as much money fighting Jake Paul as he did fighting Lennox Lewis. That's facts.
It's incredible, isn't it?
That's facts.
It's incredible, and that's the world and the marketeering space that we're in right now. You're listening and watching Fight Night on talkSPORT. Up next, the brilliant Muay Thai fighter John Hegarty joins us. Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davies. Spencer the Omen Oliver is alongside me. It's 10:18. It's kind of early, this show tonight, but I do love that Spencer looking at me like he's not asleep for once. John Hegarty joins us in the studio, the brilliant Muay Thai fighter. I'm a fan and a friend of his. Now, he's known as the General. He's a kickboxing and Muay Thai star from South London, probably jogged here tonight. Began training as a child and became a world champion while still a teenager. Why aren't you a household name and in BBC Sports Personality of the Year and all those accolades? What is it about the world that we talk about combat sports all the time, and yet Muay Thai fighters and artists in this part of the world, not in Thailand, not in Southeast Asia, you can't walk down the street there without people knowing who you are? Why don't you think we recognise Muay Thai and kickboxing fighters more in this country?
It's a good question. You know, it's a question I've asked myself for years. I just feel like because Thai boxing is mainly out in Asia, in Thailand, it hasn't got the recognition here in the UK yet. But I'm hoping I'm the one to do it, and that is the plan going forward.
I mean, John, they do that here. You know, they do that combat here. But you chose to go over and make your name over there. World flyweight champion, world bantamweight champion, current kickboxing world champion, like elite level stuff. Why did you choose to go over there and compete as opposed to here?
So I was competing over here as a young age, and then I got signed to one of the biggest organisations in the world, One Championship, and they're based in Asia. So I took the leap of faith, and that's where I wanted to be my whole career, in that organisation. So I went there, and I started taking all the Thais, the Malaysian people. So that's how it sort of sat there.
Because Dakota Decheva, who we mentioned at the top of the hour, she's done very well transitioning to MMA. She still uses a lot of her stand-up skills, and she's learning the ground skills. Have you ever been tempted? One Championship has MMA as well, but also it obviously has stand-up Muay Thai. Have you ever been tempted to go into the ground game and the grappling stuff as well?
Yeah, always tempted. But I think, you know what it is? I've always had world title fights coming up, defending the belt. So my mind's always been on defending my title. So it's definitely the end goal for me. I know I always say it, but it is definitely the end goal for me.
So Muay Thai, so the people that are listening and watching understand that. So we're talking full elbows here, full knees here.
The 8 points.
We ain't messing around here, are we? I mean, this is tough man stuff.
No, for sure. You know, elbow. We call it the art of 8 limbs. You can use all your elbows, your kicks. You just can't headbutt.
And I heard you're a bit of the governor with the elbow as well. I heard that's one of your main things.
Yeah, that is one of the main things, to be fair.
Did you know, Spence, there is one with the headbutts as well, the Burmese sport, Lethway, isn't it?
Yeah,
have you ever been tempted? To use the headbutt as well?
A little bit too much for me, that.
Because apparently in that one, you get dragged up off the ground when you've been knocked down and stood up again to fight.
Oh, is that what's happened to you then?
Yeah, very often, yeah.
I believe it's called Lethway, I think it's called.
Lethway, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. It's extraordinary, that, isn't it?
It's brutal.
When you go to Southeast Asia and you're competing in Muay Thai, you are literally a household name there, aren't you?
Yeah.
So when you come home, you can enjoy a bit of peace with your beautiful other half, can't you? Whereas
Yeah,
when you're over
100%.
there, you get no peace at all.
Yeah, it is quite hectic out there. You know, I get followed on motorbikes sometimes. I got followed into my hotel, and it was a bit like, come on, mate.
How long are you out there for? When you go out there, like, so let's say per year, how much time do you spend over there and over here?
So I did stay out there for 9 months at one stage with me and my girlfriend competing. I competed 3 times in 9 months out there, and that's when I won the world titles. But when I go over there, I do fight camps for about 7 weeks, and then I start here. But now I've sort of changed it around. My last fight camp, I've done the whole 12 weeks here, and I felt unbelievable.
Right.
It was a bit like I had my family around me. I was at my dad's gym. You know, it was a little bit like it's home, really.
But
So,
can you get the sparring that you need here? Can you get that competitive edge here to what you would get over there? Because a lot of people again that will be listening to this go that, you know, Muay Thai, that's the home of that. So the local fighters there are the governors at that sport. You've gone out there and ripped that script up, taken over, won world titles at multiple different weights. But can you get that competitive edge here though?
we was getting like the UK #1s in from all different weights above me, and it worked quite well, to be fair. So my last fight was kickboxing, so I was bringing in the UK #1 kickboxers, and it worked quite well. So I'll definitely be doing my next camp here.
Just to go over your record a little bit for those listening and watching tonight, you rose to global prominence in one championship. You won the Muay Thai world titles at flyweight and bantamweight, as Spencer mentioned, but you had a brilliant first-round knockout of the Thai legend Nong O.
Yep.
Then you defeated Fabricio Andrade, I think it was, 2-sport world champion. Then you lost your Muay Thai belt to Superlak 2 years ago. But you remain the one championship bantamweight kickboxing world champion. Is that right? Yeah. And you recently defended it against Yuki Yoza.
Yep.
What's happening next?
So I got a title defence against Akimoto, the #1 in the division. So I'm excited for that one. That one will be out in Japan again.
Yeah.
So I'm always going over to
When will that be?
17th October.
So what does the roadmap look like for you between now and then?
So I believe I've got 4 more fights left on my contract. I want to just keep defending my belt as much as possible. I also want to get the Muay Thai belt back again. You know,
of course you
that's
do.
my first love, Muay Thai.
Yeah.
So getting that back will be a big statement for me. And yeah, MMA for sure.
Oh, you are going to go over at some point. So are you training on the ground a little bit or not?
Not yet, but obviously my dad's had a gym, MMA gym for years.
Name it, please, then, for Dad.
Team Underground MMA.
There you go. Team Underground MMA.
You know, MVP have done a deal with PFL as well.
Yeah,
so
was watching all that.
There's an opportunity there for you, and then you would get recognised by a bigger audience, obviously, with Sky TV.
I don't think the one championship are going to let him go, to be honest.
Well, he's got 4 fights left. What I'm saying is the way that he's flying through them.
I think they look after him.
You need a
they love
bargaining
him.
tool, don't you?
Yeah, we'll just have to wait to see what happens. One champion, I'm very looked after at one championship. They looked after me for years, from like obviously the start of my career as well. So very grateful.
John, can I ask you, and it'd be remiss of me not to ask you, how impressed were you with Rico Verhoeven in his fight with Alexander Usyk?
Very impressed, considering he was coming up against one of the greatest, you know, Usyk. I didn't actually watch the fight, but I see the highlights. And I actually done a seminar in Amsterdam as well, and everybody was talking about it. So I was very surprised that he opened the door for us. So if we ever want to do a crossover, it'll be brilliant.
That's what I was going to ask you, is that when you watch that, we know how brilliant you are and you're super elite. Could you transfer your skills to bantamweight or featherweight to fight a Nick Ball or and Noye Nui in boxing? Or does that play on your mind at times that you could cross now?
Yeah, for sure. You know, something I'm always open to. I believe my boxing skills are quite good as well. So always open for the opportunities.
What about a bare knuckle with BKB at some point?
Do you know what? I've had this conversation with my coach, Christian.
Yeah.
He said, wow, I don't know if that'll work. But yeah, I'm definitely up for that also. Definitely on the bucket list.
Do you know what? This world that we're living in right now with this new crossover into different disciplines is huge now, isn't it? And you're getting these stars that are coming over. Rico Verhoeven was an incredible, you know...
Great game plan, very tough man, put him under pressure. But Usyk was heavier than he should have been, and he's starting to check out. Got everything right, didn't they?
But just prove that, you can do these crossovers. He was a huge underdog going into that.
Yeah, but Dennis Crowell, really smart coach. Peter Fury, really smart coach. He'd been sparring with the Furies for 10 years. Tyson was going to have a kickboxing match with him at one point years ago, Tyson Fury.
That would have been good to
But it just shows that a lot of your work... I've over the years, watching Muay Thai fighters and kickboxing fighters come into boxing... You've got incredibly hard bodies for a start. It's one of the because you take so conditioned that what I've found is a lot of kickboxers, Muay Thai fighters, when they come over to glove boxing for 6 rounds, they are brilliant.
Yeah.
Then it gets harder in the boxing world because you're used to 10, 12 rounds. But for the first 6 rounds, very dangerous against any level of boxer, all the way to elite. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure. I think 12 rounds is a lot of rounds. For us, we do 5 rounds. And to manage that throughout 12 rounds is going to be incredibly hard.
But I think the conditioning's there, though. If you're an elite level athlete, whatever discipline you do, and I think Rico's proved that you can do that as well.
But that was the unbelievable part of it, how good he was right to the end.
Absolutely, the stamina was there, and if you think these guys are not just using their hands, they're using their feet as well, so actually that discipline is harder physically. The physicalities of that.
You are going to get kicked.
You're going What do you mean?
No, in Muay Thai and
no, that's what I'm saying.
You are going to get kicked.
Yeah, but it's physically much harder. So although it's a shorter distance, it's physically much more explosive. So what I'm saying is that you can condition yourself to go the longer distance. So I think that's all a bit of a myth. Going, well, you're not used to doing the 12 rounds because I think the 5 rounds that they do is actually much harder.
Oh, it's so intense.
5 rounds of a boxing.
And also, you can't be. There's no such thing as a defensive Muay Thai fighter, is there? Because even when you block, you have to counter.
Yeah.
Because you're being scored against. Because it's a very, very offensive sport, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And as well with the defence sort of wise, we fight with 4-ounce gloves now.
Yeah.
The company that I fight for one championship. So there's no blocking. I say the blocking that we have to do is with the footwork. So it's pretty dangerous.
Defense, offense makes a dangerous conversation.
I'm seeing Muay Thai more and more because, as you know, I spend time in Thailand and I love going to it. It's kind of crazy. You fought at Lumpini, the great stadium in Bangkok. Have you ever fought the Max Muay Thai stadium where Tyson Fury fought?
No, I've never, but I've always watched it thinking I want to fight in that stadium.
It's like the York Hall, Bethnal Green. It's the equivalent. It's like one of those iconic places.
A couple of thousand people.
Bear pits. Everybody knows their sport.
Yeah.
Like Muay Thai it's almost a religion in Thailand, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's like a traditional thing as well. Respect, honour, all that sort of stuff. So it's good.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a big fan of it.
So am I. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a huge fan. I'm a fanboy of his anyway. Listen, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
Remind us of when your fight is again. How can people watch your fight in September or October?
It will be live on Sky Sports, live on YouTube as well. October the 17th, One Championship. You can watch it on the app as well. For sure.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
John, honestly, it's fascinating, mate. I've got full respect for you, man.
Thank you,
what
mate.
You've done, what you've achieved should be... The wider audience should know about it more, if I'm totally honest. You've had an incredible career so far, and hopefully you have a much better one moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck, mate.
Pleasure.
That's John Hegarty. Thank you very much for joining us tonight in the studio, John. It's an absolute pleasure. You're listening to Fight Night live on talkSPORT with Sky Vegas. It all starts with a spin. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Now, the Asian Football Confederation in the last couple of hours have come out and condemned Gianni Infantino's proposals to sell off
very late combinations, aren't they? They're all panicking.
Competitions. Well, they are. Obviously, UEFA have come out strongest by suggesting they would boycott all FIFA competitions, including the Men's and Women's World Cup, the Club World Cup. There's actually an under-20 Women's World Cup that's due to start in September, so we may find out if they'll go through with that threat very soon. UEFA's 55 member associations held an emergency meeting earlier this week, and as I say, they voted a boycott if FIFA proceeds with plans to sell stakes in its competitions to private investors. There was a statement released by FIFA, I think it was 4 o'clock this morning UK time, so we were all napping. They said nobody is selling football, but they did vow to continue with the controversial proposal to sell stakes in its competition to private investors. FIFA, in their statement, claimed the consultation process had been, quote, disrupted by incorrect media reports.
My answer to this is that everyone always screams about FIFA's a bit of a dictatorship, but it's actually a democracy whereby you still have to have all the nations vote for this through, Alex, right?
Yes.
So Infantino can't just force it through. It was never going to happen that way, and I think it's dead in the water now.
Well, I was just about to come on to that. So in order for this proposal to be passed, FIFA's 211 members would need to vote. Therefore, Infantino would need 106 votes in favour.
Yep.
UEFA and CONCACAF members combined make up 96 of those votes.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. It's the final segment of the night, taking us
see you
up to
dancing like that. I can see you in Ministry of Sound right now.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Picking him into the dance floor.
Taking me
I've
back
got
in the years.
picture.
You are listening to Trance on a Saturday night. No, you're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Thank you, Spencer. Spencer the Omen Oliver is here alongside. We've had a fantastic night. Thank you for all your calls tonight. We shan't take any more now because we're just going to talk about the great fights we've had this year and what's to come. We're just over the halfway point, of course, or just 5, 6, 7 twelfths into the year. It's been a very interesting year. We talked about a couple of fights we have had. Two of the most successful fights, I think, beatdowns in a way, or three of them that we haven't mentioned. Dalton Smith stopping Subriel Matisse in January in the 5th round to win the WBC super lightweight title. He will fight Alberto Puello in Sheffield in a couple of months. That was an outstanding performance this year.
Oh, Mateus was, he was going into that fight possibly as a favourite. I mean, very good fighter, but Dalton Smith was just sensational that night. And,
he was. And
proved that he belongs at the top of the division.
And it builds, of course, to that fight with Adam Azim next year at some point.
Well, Adam Azim, who's a great young fighter himself, but, I think that Dalton Smith beating Mateus the way that he did widened that gap between the two. I think that, I think that it's a fight that will happen, but maybe not until Adam Azim wins a world title of his own.
And talking about 10 stone, 140 pounds light welterweight, as I call it, you probably call it super lightweight, you're so modern. Shaka Stevenson, who is fast approaching being the top 10, top of the pound for pound list for me. I've got him at 3, I think, at the moment, just ahead of Bam Rodriguez and behind Alexander Usyk and Naoya Inoue. Inouye's my number 1. Stevenson it was a real beatdown again against Teofimo Lopez, unanimous decision, one-sided in New York, again later in January. That was a brilliant performance this year as well.
Yep, and you're right, it put him in at number 3 in the pound for pound ranking. Shaka Stevenson, who has been an elite level fighter, 4-weight world champion, and for me probably will end up as pound for pound number 1. I think he's that good. Now, it was a complete beatdown of Teofimo Lopez, who's a phenomenal fighter himself, but it was a one-sided fight. Yeah, Shaka Stevenson, big fan of his.
I don't like it when I hear Eddie Hearn and others say, I'm not a fan of watching him fight. I think he shows things all the time.
Yep.
Showed it against William Zepeda, showed it against dangerous fighters, that he can sit on the ropes, he can take the barrages, he can take assaults, he's got a great chin. He's going to lose at some point. I thought the guy that might always beat him was Gervonta Davis, but Gervonta implodes all the time. But there is talk that Zuffa Boxing have reached out to Gervonta Davis, and they're trying to get him into the fold. Final fight, because we've got a lot to get through here, Spence, in the final section. David Benavidez, brilliant light heavyweight fighter, stepping up to cruiserweight, stopped Gilberto Ramirez, WBO and WBA cruiserweight titles. That was in May. That was the same night as Naoya Inoue and Nakatani in Las Vegas. That was a brilliant performance as well.
It was a beatdown, a fight that many people had as a 50-50. A lot of people felt that Ramirez would actually be too big for Benavidez, but Benavidez went up there, he dominated and just stole the soul of Ramirez in one of the standout performances of the year so far.
I'm going to give our producer, a hard time. He's looking at me through the glass like he suddenly looked terrified. He didn't mention Katie Taylor against Flora Pilley as one of the fights coming up in the second half of the year. Croke Park, It's on the running order. Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for correcting me. That's one of the big fights coming up in September, along with Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn, which we spoke about earlier. September's a great month for boxing.
Yeah, Katie Taylor with that homecoming at Croke Park, which she deserves, by the way. September the 5th, that's going to be an emotional night, an incredible night for a woman.
Be there?
We've
got to be there.
We'll be there. We'll be there. For a woman that is the pioneer of women's boxing and transcended the sport. She really has. She's been a phenomenal, outstanding boxer, and I'm really looking forward to covering her last fight on the 5th, and then moving on to Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia. Two huge names, controversial, both of them, but great fighters, and it's Conor Benn's coming of age fight. He's talk the talk, can he walk the walk?
Exactly. Well, if you want to rewind, if you missed the earlier part of the show, we were discussing that, Spencer and myself, at length. Coming up at the end of this month, big fight. We talked about the heavyweights leaving the division, 5, 6, 7 of them in the top 15 over the next maybe 18 months. All those big names. Moses Itauma, maybe the new man, the new era against Filip Hrgović. This is the fight on August the 29th in London, where maybe he gets left off the leash now.
Well, it is, yeah, because Filip Hrgović is an elite level fighter. There's no two ways about that. This is a step up for Moses Itauma. This is the launch pad, but I expect him to shine. I think that he's going to be the dominant force in the heavyweight division over the next decade or so. Unbelievable fighter, southpaw, quick, unbelievable boxing IQ, quick feet, spiteful puncher, and he's going to be the superstar of the division.
Would Andy Ruiz have been a test for Moses Itauma or not?
Oh, yeah, he would have been a test for Moses.
I think he'd have splattered him in 3 rounds.
He would have given him rounds. I'm not saying Moses wouldn't have beaten him.
Do you remember our argument over the
I
last
do.
few
You
months?
said 3 rounds.
3 rounds.
And I said, explain yourself.
Maybe 5. I'm going to revise my view. Maybe 5. But Moses breaks him up, beats him up, and finishes him.
Andy Ruiz Jr. has been in with some big punches.
He will never fight him now.
He's never been stopped by any of them.
No, that's fair enough.
That's all I'm saying.
I know.
That's all I'm saying.
Your reasoning is not without substance. I do understand why you're saying it. For me, in this fight, for Moses, Filip is a great fighter. He's a big, strong, powerful heavyweight. I think I've got him one position above Moses in my list at the moment in the top 10, 7 and 6 as they are respectively. I just think he's hittable. And I think Moses will hit him hard and he'll hit him often, and it'll start to develop after rounds 2 or 3. And I think Moses will dominate him. I think he'll stop him by 6 or 7. I like Filip, but I just don't think this is a good fight for him.
I agree, and I think that Filip has skin like rice paper, and that's going to be his big problem. That Moses Itauma, who's a spiteful puncher, who's very creative, sets traps, will find the holes in the defence of Filip Hrgović, and I think Hrgovic's face will get cut up, and the fight will be stopped on cuts.
I was researching before we came in, and I don't know where I read it, but there was a line that someone had written. Is Moses Itauma more skilled at 21? This is a good question for you. We've only got 4 minutes left on the show. This might take an hour and a half. More skilled at 21 than Mike Tyson was at 21?
Definitely. Much more skilled. Maybe not as ferocious. Maybe not as exciting.
Or as scary.
Maybe not. Well, he definitely doesn't have the aura, because there's more to it than that. Some boxers, they walk in the room and they're there. They've got that presence, like Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, those guys. And then you can get other champions that walk in and you don't really feel that presence, that aura. That's a gift from God. And, Mike Tyson had that, and he had it, in abundance. So Mike Tyson will be a standout when it comes to that forever. I mean, look, the kids of today know who Mike Tyson are, and he's not been boxing for how many years? When was the last time he boxed? 2002, 2005?
Who?
Mike Tyson?
Well, he boxed 2 years ago.
No, yeah, forget that. I mean, not an exhibition. I mean, proper.
Were you there for that one?
Yeah, of course I was.
I think we were both there.
Yeah, we were, mate. We covered that.
Until
Texas.
The bell rang for the...
Don't you remember dancing, line dancing?
I still haven't worn my boots.
The White Elephant, was it the bar?
It was the White Elephant, yeah. The oldest inn.
Yeah.
Where was it? I took you all to the rodeo.
The country dancing. Gareth with his boots on.
In Houston. No, it was, I can't remember the name of the town now.
Yeah, your cowboy hat and your boots on, didn't you?
Yeah, we all did.
smoking a big cigar.
I got hit in the face by one of those guns that fires out a T-shirt. Do you remember? I was sitting next to American Indian
rodeo,
ladies.
that's right.
Got hit in the face, not my glass.
I think you was out for a couple of seconds, weren't you?
It was a fantastic week, and it was exciting and thrilling till the bell rang.
Yeah,
and then it was he's really old.
Yeah. I think for us, it was all about the ring walk, weren't it? Seeing Mike Tyson do it one final time, coming in.
72,000 people.
It was that moment. Like you say, it was a disappointment when the bell rang. We recognised quickly that we were watching a very faded, very old man in Mike Tyson getting beaten up really by Jake Paul, which was quite sad to see. But it was that moment when he done that ring walk. For me, we captured that moment.
Canelo Alvarez and Christian Mbili fight on 31st of October. Believe that's in Saudi Arabia. It's Mexico versus the world. He's captaining the team. Rolly Romero and Teofimo Lopez fight for the WBA welterweight crown in Las Vegas on August the 22nd. And the only way to finish the show tonight, because it's dominated, and we've got 2 minutes left, it's dominated the show all night. Will we see Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua on November the 14th? Or in mid-November, or in November, and who will win that fight, Spencer Oliver?
Well, I think we definitely see that fight. Contracts are signed. We're going to find out next week the exact date. You've heard whispers it is November the 14th. That sounds about right, if I'm totally honest. Where it lands, I don't know. I don't care. I just want the fight to happen. Of course, I want it on British soil. But if it's not on British soil, don't leave it, because one of these guys at this stage of their careers could get beat. We've seen the vulnerabilities. We've seen the defensive errors. Let's get the fight on now. We need it.
I concur with all those things. I'd love it to be in the UK, but I want to see the two men in the ring. I don't want it to be commuted. It may be commuted to March or April next year to Wembley, but the problem is by then we are into the Moses Itauma era.
Too late.
By then, and they will both want another fight in the warm-up, because it will make it a quarter-final and then a semi-final, and there's too much risk of these guys not getting into the ring together. I think Anthony Joshua has to come out hard and fast when they do meet. I think Tyson Fury holds the advantages. It is the championship of each other. It will define and end an era. Whatever they earn, they deserve to earn, in my view. Whatever you've earned tonight, Spencer Oliver, you deserve to earn. It's been great being with you in the studio. Thank you for all your calls tonight. You've been listening and watching Fight Night on talkSPORT. It's a pleasure to be back in the studio on a Saturday night. We will see you next week. Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you, Gareth.
And a very good night.
Let's bring in Terry Gibson, Spanish football expert. Terry, always good to speak to you. Lots of news stories over in Spain at the moment. Let's start with that Marcus Rashford farewell post to Barcelona. Looks like his hopes of return to the Camp Nou are now very much over.
Yes, it does, and I think it was a blow to him when Anthony Gordon. It must have been kind of awkward when the England team met up for the World Cup when Anthony Gordon had already completed his move to Barcelona. Marcus Rashford's future was hanging in the air. And then they signed Karim Adeyemi. So it's not going to happen now for Marcus Rashford. I have to be honest, I'm really surprised. I thought it was a good value in terms of the transfer fee. And I thought his form last season was as good as you would expect. And he couldn't have done any more. He scored some important goals. He actually effectively got the goal that won them the league title. He was popular with his teammates and popular with the fans. So I'm surprised. Even when Anthony Gordon signed, I still thought there was a possibility that Rashford would still go, but the signing of Adeyemi has put a stop to that.
Is it just wages? Because obviously Anthony Gordon would command a much lower weekly salary than Rashford.
But he was £80 million. Rashford was 26. Yeah. So 26 million, slightly difference in their ages as well. People are forgetting they've got Rafinha that plays there as well. So the problem positions that everyone thought they had, and they still have, are centre forward, Lewandowski leaving the club, and they should have bought a better centre back than what they currently have.